The Galatian homeworld trembled, not in metaphor, but in reality. The planet's crust physically shuddered as the Void Fleet descended through the atmosphere. Grand Elder Trill watched from the Council's observatory dome as the enemy vessels, black, angular, and utterly devoid of light, breached the cloud cover. "How long?" Trill asked, his four eyes blinking in sequence, a nervous habit he'd never outgrown. 28 minutes until they reached the capital, replied Nexus. The defense minister. Her scales had dulled to a pale blue, a sign of extreme distress among their kind. Our remaining forces are insufficient. The Galatians have been a peaceful civilization for millennia, their technological prowess focused on medicine, art, and exploration, not warfare. Where the Void Fleet first appeared at the edge of their system 3 cycles ago, they had tried diplomacy. The Void had responded with silence, then destruction. The evacuation? Trill asked. 40% complete. We need more time. Time they didn't have. The Galatian Confederation had sent distress calls to every allied race in the galaxy. The Mazones had sent their regrets. Their ships were too far away. The Drexler Coalition cited ancient neutrality pacts. The Utopian Collective had simply gone silent. Trill was about to order the final evacuation protocols when Officer Lumi burst into the chamber. Grand Elder, the humans, they're here. The humans? Trill blinked in confusion, but they're primitive. Their interstellar capabilities are barely a century old. The observatory's main display flickered, showing a new fleet emerging from hyperspace, sleek, utilitarian vessels bearing the emblem of Earth's United Space Force. Receiving transmission, Nexus announced, her scales brightening slightly. The screen shifted to show a human female with short gray hair and determined eyes. "This is Admiral Jane Wilson of the Earth Alliance. We received your distress call. We're moving to engage the Void Fleet. Commence your evacuations. We'll buy you time." Before Trill could respond, the transmission ended. The observatory screens showed the human ships accelerating toward the Void Fleet, outnumbered nearly 3-1. "They cannot win," Nexus whispered. "Why would they come? We have no formal alliance with Earth." Trill had no answer. Humans were an enigma in the galactic community, emotional, impulsive, and astonishingly resilient. While other races calculated probabilities and advantages before action, humans seemed to operate on entirely different principles. The battle unfolded above their world. Human vessels darted between the larger Void ships, their tactics unpredictable, seemingly reckless. They targeted engines, weapons arrays, and communication nodes with surgical precision. "They're not trying to destroy the Void ships," observed Lumi. "They're crippling them." "Evacuations now at 63%, reported another officer. A massive explosion lit up the stratosphere as one of the larger human vessels rammed itself directly into a Void dreadnought. Both ships disintegrated in a spectacular blast that disabled 2 nearby enemy vessels. "They sacrificed their ship," Nexus said, her voice hollow with disbelief. "The crew chose to die." The battle raged for another hour. The human fleet was whittled down by half, but they had managed to disable or destroy 2/3 of the Void Fleet. The remaining enemy vessels began to retreat, pulling back toward the upper atmosphere. "Evacuation complete," announced the emergency coordinator. "All civilians accounted for." Admiral Wilson's face appeared on the screen again, now streaked with sweat and blood from a cut above her eye. "The Void is retreating for now. They'll be back with reinforcements. You have approximately 48 hours to complete your planetary evacuation. We'll escort your ships to the Earth Alliance station in the Proxima system." "Admiral," Trill spoke, his voice thick with emotion. "Why did you come? Your people had nothing to gain. The risks." Wilson's expression softened slightly. "Elder Trill, when we heard your people were facing extinction, there was no debate. This is what humans do. We help." After the evacuation was complete and the refugee ships safely delivered to Proxima Station, Admiral Wilson met with Trill aboard the human flagship. The human vessels had suffered grievous damage. Of the original 26 ships, only 11 remained operational. Over 300 human lives had been lost. "Your people died for us," Trill said quietly as they stood before the memorial wall, where pictures of the fallen had been hastily assembled. "I don't understand." Wilson looked at the faces of her lost crew members. Throughout our history, humans have been both terrible and magnificent. We've waged wars against each other for centuries, but we've learned that our greatest strength comes from standing together against threats bigger than ourselves. None of the other advanced races would risk themselves, Trill said. Perhaps being advanced isn't always about technology or longevity, Wilson replied. Sometimes it's about remembering what matters most. Later, as the Galatian refugees began settling into their temporary homes on Proxima Station, stories spread among them, tales of human bravery, of sacrifice, of the inexplicable willingness to face death for strangers. The children of Galatia learned these stories, painted murals of human ships standing against the darkness, and when, years later, the void threatened another peaceful world, it was a joint fleet, human and Galatian together, that moved to intercept them. In the face of doom, when calculation and self-preservation ruled the older races, it was humanity, young, emotional, imperfect humanity, that had shown the galaxy a different path.